Hello, my name is Serge Matveenko. I'm a senior Python developer at DataArt. And today I want to talk about MongoDB library that I've been developing about a year, but I believe that is about a couple of months of perfect days invested. This library is in early stages, but it's already useful. And it helps to work with MongoDB in the right way that, well, what I see as the right way. Let's see what we have in Python for MongoDB for the start. Mostly it's two things. First, it's PyMongo library that is main driver, and some derivatives like Motor or TXMongo that use the same syntax as PyMongo, and usually compatible with it. And we have two ODMs, object document mappings. It's Mnj Engine and MongoKit. Personally, I don't like MongoKit at all. It proven to be buggy or prone, and it needs maintainers now. This project have a bit of bad times now. Mnj Engine is popular. Mnj Engine is popular, and now it has several developers that contribute, who contribute to that project, and it's mostly okay if you start in something simple with Mongo in Python. But when you need some complicated some things that need direct access to PyMongo, you need something that can do it directly. And most of the time you need to jump down to the PyMongo and do that kind of things with dicts, strings, and so on. Mnj is meant to fix that mess with the PyMongo, because I don't like that you need to write those dicts that you can't copy and paste to the console, MongoDB console. You can't check it for errors. Well, you can actually have Cerberus library from another developer that I believe you will hear about it tomorrow a bit. Well, Mnj, it stands for MongoEnergy. Like Mongo Engine, MongoEnergy, something connected. Well, it's firstly it's query DSL. It's a thing that could help you write PyMongo less error prone. And the second part of the Mnj library is some features that we want to implement, and they are really in early stages, and we just prepared for them. But you can find the plans on the GitHub. It's implementing common patterns that we use in Mongo, like bucketing, like document splitting and merging for big documents like MapReduce support and special DSL for this, DSL for aggregation framework, and all these things that you usually want to do in Mongo, but it often takes long to implement it over and over again. Well, that's it. That's way Mongo Engine developed. You have PyMongo, you have some magic, meta classes, something else, and you have Mongo Engine. And when you need to implement some complicated logic, usually you drop directly to PyMongo, or you need to extend Mongo Engine classes and rewrite all the logic it does. And that is the way Mnj is organized. We have PyMongo, over it we have DSL level that is already there, and you can use it now, and you will see shortly how to do it. On top of it, we plan to implement all the features we want from the library. And you are free to use them or to ignore them completely. And off top of it, you have we'll have soon, it's already there, but it's a bit unstable, ODM level. And you can use it, or you can use directly DSL, it doesn't matter. But if you want to use ODM, all the queries are compatible with the DSL, with PyMongo, and so on. Personally, I don't like an idea to use Django-like syntax for MongoDB. It's just irrational for me. Well, let's compare these three things: PyMongo, Mongo Engine, and Mnj. For the start, I want object mapping, validation that is not in PyMongo directly. I want to see good usability. I want something MongoDB compatible, MongoDB-like. PyMongo compatibility to be able to replace some things if the library cannot do it. I want to place somewhere raw PyMongo query and get what I want. And of course, I want from the library to see that it helps me to defend some errors. Let's look. This is PyMongo. Well, it's mostly dicts, strings, and sometimes numbers. Moreover, it can't. Actually, you can put here Python regex, and it's supported, but here could be some diff mode operator or item match operator, and you need to write it just as text, and you never know that you write something wrong until you actually run this query. So I think that the usability is not very well, not very good, and it's definitely looks like MongoDB, and it's compatible with with itself, of course. And this is highly error prone. I really can't stick with it. Let's look on Mongo Engine. Well, it looks like Django. It uses queries like Django, and some people maybe will like it, but actually it blocks you from using many MongoDB things directly. You need to make up some ways. You need to Google for Mnj Engine way to do some things, and it really stops you from using MongoDB in the way it should be used. Well, but you get some nice features like accessing attributes of objects and object document mapping from the start. It's nice. So it helps you in its way to defend errors. It has its own usability, and of course it has a huge validation support, and it is object document mapping. Let's look, finally, let's look on Mnj example. You see it looks very similar to PyMongo, but instead of using dicts, we use special queue object there, here. And after that, we can do some, we can do things similar to Mnj Engine, but in the way it, when it looks like PyMongo, it's structured like MongoDB query, and we support some helper methods that define operators for MongoDB. If you use mod method, you got helper keyword arguments that help you to know where to put divisor, where to put remainder. That is the same with the regex method. It will work with your IDE. You got IntelliSense and so on for any operator that is there for PyMongo. And if by some chance you there is no operator for that you want some functionality that is still not implemented in Mnj, you can use another queue object to combine Mnj syntax with the raw PyMongo syntax. This query is exactly the same as this one. This will produce the same PyMongo object, the same output, and so on. Well, in this way, I think that Mnj is more usable, and it really looks like MongoDB queries. It's fully PyMongo compatible, and this will defend some errors because you got IntelliSense, you got operators documentation after completion, and we are planning to improve this further with some helpers and define more operators in the future. Well, to the plans. This is the list of the features we are planning to implement. Actually, I plan to implement in the Mnj. It will not affect the core DSL. This will always be built on top of it, and you can use any feature you want, or just use DSL for your queries, and with whatever library you want. It's fully compatible with Motor, TX Mongo, or whatever library you like, if it is compatible with PyMongo API. Okay, MapReduce, I said about it, object document mapping. Yeah, we would like to implement that feature that I think there is lack for it in Mnj Engine, like querying for some collection that stores documents of different types, and restoring the instances of the correct type from that collection in the one output. Like in one query set, you can receive any type of object you like. Document linking and references, including redundant data and callbacks for updating it. I think this feature will be highly demanded, and it's really now highly demanded for me. Like if you use MongoDB frequently, you will usually use it like you want to see the data, the complete data from the single query for the page. Like if you got user list, you usually include in the user object some links to user friends. You include some data about latest posts and so on to speed up user list loading. But you need to update this data, and this will give you a callbacks for this to update data that stored in the linked documents. We know the way, actually, we know the way to solve the problem with the large documents in Mongo. When you have a document that is larger than 16 megabytes, you need to do something. We want to give you a universal way to do this that will handle document changing document size, in growing it, shrinking it, and we'll do it transparently for you. The algorithm for this is already developed, and it was implemented in one proprietary software. And now I'm going to re-implement this for this Python library. Also, bucketing support, it's a very useful feature when you need to store many small objects that is similar, that is grouped, but usually you need to re-implement this for different buckets, and helping tool that will handle this for you will be good, in my opinion. Well, if you want to help, you want to try this, and you are interested, please feel free to install the current version, use it, provide me with the cases that you got, and I will try to help you to implement your cases and to improve the library to help you. But of course, I will be glad to see any contributions implementing features that are in plans or that you would like to see in the library. All these merge requests will be highly appreciated. And well, we have chat in Gita. Join and ask and have fun with all other users. Thank you for listening. Any questions? As you want. Oh. You need. Oh.
Should I need to start?
Go
Hi
on.
guys, my name is Nikita. Yeah. Well, you said that the features planned is document mapping, right?
Yeah.
It's just planning, or it's
Actually, object document mapping is implemented now, but it's in unstable
Okay,
way. I just tried some ways. You can try to use it, but I don't. I don't see it in production.
Yeah. Actually, that's not really a question which I wanted to ask. I mean, how is? Can you show us, or maybe describe some example how it would looks like? You showed the Mongo engine and said that it's much Django-like. You have in a class and
Yeah.
Attributes which provides some float field and another, and then you combine like objects, just querying just like Django RAM, and you say that's really not.
I understand you.
I wanted to ask how it's look like on the MNJ.
Yeah. I got it. I believe your question is that it is difficult to imagine how object document mapping could be used with PyMongo queries.
Some kind, yeah.
Well, it is difficult. It is,
Yes.
And it is really it's a bit of a challenge, and this is the main thing because of what the reason why this is not ready yet, because this challenge is still need to be solved, and I tried several ways of to do it, and actually I don't like all of them. And I think you can join the chat room and follow GitHub, and we could try to develop something together, because really Django-like syntax is not good for MongoDB. And combining classes and object instances with PyMongo syntax is a really complicated thing to do in syntax.
Yeah, and I want to know and how looks like. Just for example, not really working. You know, it's like.
Well, now
for now, you showed up an example that which really looks like the PyMongo, except for object. And
now it is implemented in the way that uses document class attribute in PyMongo connection, and puts all the magic there. When you load some document, it looks for a special attribute that defines class, the class of the document, and then it restores that instance in runtime while document is loading, and gives you here the list of the instances of the correct document classes.
Anybody don't want to get?
Any
Well, okay, and is there gonna be a way like? Never mind. Would you please show us the last slide? Yeah, that's planned features. Yeah. You said document linking and referencing. You mean like I have a document with users and with posts. I should do one query and get the users and linked posts and not manually doing this. This will be implemented in...
Yeah. First of all, you usually when you come in from the object relational databases world, you think about objects like about tables.
Yeah,
but when you work with the MongoDB, the right way is to store some information about linking documents inside the document you are getting from the DB, and you don't need to query another collection because you already got all the data you want for that object to display it, and you don't need to do joins. Yeah, you can store the data you want to join there. But if you want to query and to get the document itself that is linked from the first document, you will get the possibility to dereference that objects transparently. But this feature actually not
Mongo-like, yeah, I understand.
Yeah, but sometimes you need to do it. You need to follow that links. You need to form some reports maybe, or some other aggregated data maybe.
Okay, anybody else?
Okay, and I never actually tried to use Mongo in Python with any kind of ORM, but you know, if you use Django ORM with some kind of SQL DB, you actually cannot even to know the SQL language, how it works. You just write your objects with fields, and you actually don't care how your data stored in database. And the question is, if you have, for example, some linked objects in Mongo, and you told that someone should decide which kind of reference data to store in one collection and which is another, your library is going to decide it for me, or I should somehow to...
You should do it by yourself, because only you is the person who knows what the queries you will do. And this is the usual approach to develop the MongoDB structure. If you need to think from the queries you do, not from the data structure. You know that you will query for some data with that should be annotated by data from other collections, and the library don't know this before storing data, before querying for it. when you store data, the library cannot know how you will handle this data in the future.
Okay, but like let me explain. For example, I have one model and another model, and if I use Django and ask just for ID, like I have a user and I have some kind of order ID, so I can get order ID without any other query. But if I want to get user.order.something, that Django ORM will do a query for me. And if your library will do that,
I've said about this, that you will be able to dereference objects transparently. Of course, and this is already done in Mnj Engine, and it works, and this is not at some edge case.
thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Hello, everyone. First of all, a few comments and a question, if
Yeah.
you allow me. First, congratulations, because it takes some balls to try new ways. I am quite involved in the MongoDB community, and so what I really appreciate about your project is probably the attempt to build a layered system. I agree with you that ORMs in general are not really a good thing for Mongo, exactly because people usually you want to know how you optimize and what your end goal is, and you architecture your data for your goal, and don't delegate this to some kind of generic use ORM, no matter how good it is. And so I like the idea of the layers, so I can, I don't know, just to use the DSL or go up the ladder up to the ORM if I want to. So this is a nice idea. I get that this project is really at an early stage, and this is probably good because you might, and you already are getting a lot of good feedback and criticism, and this is good because you can probably build on something which on the experience of people who have been using Mongo and Django and ORM of all kinds. And then my question is about large documents. You said that you have already worked on this aspect. And my question is, when you talk about large documents, have you ever worked with GridFS by Mongo, within Mongo? And if you did or didn't, anyway, splitting, are you aware that when you delete or split documents, and especially when you substitute fields in Mongo, if these fields have different sizes, you can end up having a very cluttered database, and then you may lose performance on the database. And did you address this kind of issue in your code? Are you going to address it in your library?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Actually, yeah, thanks for the comments. And regarding GridFS, personally, I believe that solving a large document problem using GridFS is kind of a hack that you really got nothing from it, except you really can store something big. But you usually lose possibility to query for keys for some internal document data, and this is just you can use any file system for this. This is not the Mongo way. The way large documents will be implemented here is able to handle document fragmentation, field substitution, and to optimize document size on save. This is not high performance solution in terms of single query and just put and get. Of course, it will store several documents, It checks some things around to know that the document that is saving now don't need to be fragmented, or it need to be fragmented, and it actually it could be implemented asynchronously, and could use some callbacks to let you know that document needs to be defragmented, and you will be able to call the defragmentation synchronously or schedule it using your maybe some messaging queue and so on. But the way it works, it proved that this could be done for the documents that do not need really high performance on top of performance scale, and it's fine for most cases.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Well, then, thank you.